Hello, good people of the internet. Today we are playing Suzerain episode 9. If you've missed previous episodes and want to catch up, then I'll link to the playlist where you can start from episode 1 or any episode if you wish. And I'll explain a bit more. This is obviously Suzerain 2.0, which has various new dialogue options and stuff, but I never played Suzerain in the first place. Suzerain being a political simulation game where you take control as the president of a made-up country in a made-up universe, but it has maybe lots of ties with reality, or at least, you know, similarities, let's say, to some things that maybe happened in the 20th century in our world. And you make decisions. Well, I'm making the decisions here, and maybe those decisions are good for you, maybe they're bad. Who knows? Last time in episode 8, we, well, beyond rejecting the tourism bill, we were having a long conversation about what the constitutional reform committee had been working on. And yeah, various concessions that may need to be made to various people, and also the fact that we need to get the Supreme Court on side. And then we had a conversation with the head of the Supreme Court, who seemed to suggest that everyone in the reformist wing, anyone trying to reform, was in the pockets of the Arcasians. And that is the capitalist wing, well, capitalist group. Various countries over here. Anyway. So they're not very happy that this whole thing is going on. But then what I said in the election was that we were going to align to capitalist Arcasia. So I don't see it as a huge problem, but it is better that they're not interfering. How that plays out, we don't know. We didn't team up with those Supreme Justice Court people, but we may need to investigate the leader of the reformists. There is one news article that we haven't read. Hawker and Maroon Palace. Yes, so this is Chief Justice, also Hawker, spotted entering the palace. Usually does not frequent the palace unless for official business, and this was certainly an unplanned visit. Anyway, so we had the conversation, but we've done everything except for hit the continue button, and now we hit continue. I don't know what happens next. The Trials of Democracy. So are we into Act 2 now? I don't know. I feel like there are acts in the game, but maybe this, because of the achievements. But maybe not. We've just fast-forwarded on some time. Well, let us do some reading. Let's read some reports. Communist books burned in Boron. Local residents gathered thousands of books that they claim to be spreading communist and millennialist propaganda at the Century Park in Boron and set the books on fire. Aggressive slogans targeting the Red Youth, the Workers' Party Blodio, and the Communist Party of Swordsland were shouted. Youth groups from the local party offices of the USP and NFP also joined in with the burning. Fire department was dispatched and the protesters dispersed on their own. Well, we don't appreciate book burning. Young Swords and NFP flags burned. A massive counter-protest against Young Swords, led by a local politician known to be aligned with the Red Youth, resulted in many injuries and property damage. Subsequently, Young Swords and National Front Party flags were burnt, which caused tensions to escalate. Local police dispersed the protesters by sundown. So it seems like the police are doing their job, maybe. Bloodish resistance in sanctuaries. Persian security forces have arrested 3 priests at 2 different Nurity sanctuaries in Sana after finding links to insurgent activities. The report came from an elderly man who wanted to pray in peace and instead found himself invited to join the Bloodish Freedom Front by a state-sanctioned priest. Further incidents indicate that the BFF is pushing for a local recruitment drive in different sanctuaries across the region. See. The mayor of Narble has reported that their hospitals are overburdened and that they're unable to respond to the needs of the citizens. He complained about months-long waiting lists for terminally ill patients on top of the capacity issues. It was also noted that the facilities are still largely using outdated technology. Recession hits farmers again. As per the latest news from Lochhaven, the farming industry has taken another hit. As a result of the recession, there are reports that 16% of all wheat in Lochhaven is rotting in barns due to a lack of buyers. Farmers are requesting additional funds from the government to survive the year. Why can you not export the wheat? And Holzlord, there is a report there. But we'll get to that. And then we have a barbecue. Ooh, do you like barbecues? But first of all, let's maybe go check out some news. So, Holzlord post, Red Youth rises warning bells for Swordland. Activities of Red Youth seen rallying in Narble have set alarm bells ringing. Sudden visibility of a group known for its radical political ideology raises concerns about potential threats to Swordland's national stability. Anyway, we normally just skim through the news. School poisoning in Ribble. After eating a free meal laced with pesticide. Random. How did it end up in the food? Police have started an investigation. Upcoming government budget changes. As the top economy experts in the country, we have been watching the upcoming changes to the government budget very closely. President Anton Rain's first internal economical challenges lies ahead, and we will see if he can prove his capabilities as a leader who can think ahead. Potential ramifications of diverting the funding to certain governmental branches has always been a point of contention for any leader, and is no different for this case. We will see if President Rain can hold on to the promises he has given during the election campaign. Worker unions put pressure for promised benefits. Action seems to serve dual purpose, exerting pressure on Gaston's management to uphold its commitments, and indirectly reminding the president, that's me, of the expectations ahead of his meeting with Gaston chairman. Do I have a meeting with him? Anyway, LUS and CPS gather in Narble for mass protest not only marks a new phase in the fight for workers' rights, but also sends a powerful message to President Anton Rain. Workers of Swordland will not be silenced or sidelined. Time for women to stand up? Yes, definitely. It must be supported by all Swordish women, as well as men, indeed. Questioning Solist education. Sure. Anyway, geopolitics. Anrakan Archipelago emerges as buffer zone and global trade power. Federation of Anrakan Isles. United, yeah. Imagination Islands under the mounting pressures from both Acacia to the east and United Quintana to the west. I thought United Quintana was to the east. Maybe it's on the other side of the world and I can't see it. Anyway, what is this saying about them? Located between the continents of Macopa and Quintana, positioning itself as a significant buffer zone. Okay. So if you're neutral, maybe talking to them would be a good idea, but fine. Anyway, Grace nations unite to counter ideological influences, forge parallel financial order. Grace, the Guild of Royal Allies for Commercial Exchange. Who does that include? Monarchies from various continents, including Macopa. Okay, who's in Italy? Rumburg, Rizia, Baronies of Soradis, Principalities, Narberg, Holy Kingdom of Al-Rakar. Okay. Anyway, what are they up to? They held a summit in Rumburg. Oh, it even mentions the current countries here. Fine. They address the summit. We stand together not only as partners in commerce, but also protectors of our shared heritage and values. Anyway, Van Houten blames Valksland for the missing fishing vessel. Agnolia's Prime Minister, Van Houten, has made a statement denouncing Valksland for the missing vessel. Teachable Coast Guards have rescued a crew member. We learned the ship's unfortunate end was none other than Valkslandian Navy. Prime Minister has refused to disclose the surviving crew member due to fear of assassination attempt from Valksland to cover up their hostility. I mean, they've already got the information out of him, so it wouldn't really help. Anyway, there's tension between Agnolia and Valksland based on this island here. And if we were to join up with Agnolia, form some kind of alliance, then that's a danger flashpoint as well. Let us move on to this final report. Legislative debate on the repeal of the EPA, which is the Energy Protection Act, because there's a potential for someone to be buying up more of our companies. Anyway, GNA was the stage of a contentious debate today over the proposed repeal of the EPA. Arguments both for and against the repeal put forth, with Franz Richter of the PFJP and the USB reformist wing leader Albin Clavin leading the faction advocating for the repeal. They argued that such a move would foster economic growth and increase foreign investment. However, the United Southern Party, NFP, under the leadership of these people, respectively defended the act, vehemently citing the need for Southern to protect its strategic industries from foreign control. Final decision now hinges on the vote, which will be held the following month. Okay, I thought they were going to say a bit more about that, but anyway. Let us have a barbecue. It was Saturday afternoon, my first break from work in what felt like years, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect. Trying to keep my mind off the upheaval sparked by the circus assassination, I lit the backyard grill. Monica and Deanna were out shopping for craft supplies, and I'd given the staff the day off. It was just myself and Frank at home. Now, we need to be nice to Frank, who is our son. He was pretty scared about the assassination attempt. I mean, it wasn't on us. It wasn't an attempt. It was successful. But still. So we need him to be... we need to have some good father-son time. Anyway, I wasn't sure how he felt about me at the moment, but I did know how he felt about barbecued ribs. Our cook had left some marinating in the refrigerator. Sure enough, as soon as Frank glimpsed the grill and the meat, he stepped outside to join me. And we're going to be nice. We're not going to say anything derogatory like, look, he's finally out of his room. Come to spend some quality time with your old man, have you? I mean, that's still not the greatest line, but still. Sure, if you can spare a few minutes out of your busy schedule. Children who talk back to their fathers don't get dinner. Fan these flames. Look, son, I'm preoccupied with matters of national importance. Or we could do the nice father thing. I'm sorry, I know I haven't been around very often lately, but I'm happy to see you now. It's okay. We have to be apologetic. It isn't his fault that we're not around. Okay, I know you've got the most stressful job in the country, and you've got to feed your family on top of it all. Both chuckled. I turned to tend the fire. Here, let me try. Grabbed the fan and started quickly waving it over the coals. The fire roared to life. He turned to look at me with a grin on his face as if he was expecting praise. Good job. Not bad, son. Not bad. I mean, in the UK, not bad is a great... It's definitely praise. Don't act like you've done something special, Frank. Say nothing. I mean, I feel like I want to say not bad. But let's just... Sure. Thank you, sir. It is in our utmost interest to fulfill our duties with precision. The grilling shall commence in exactly 1 minute and 32 seconds. That was spot-on impersonation of Lucian. We looked at each other for a second and burst out laughing. I realized my throat was parched. There was a 6-pack of beer in the kitchen. I don't know how old my son is. How old is he? I mean, he probably drinks anyway, right? Anyway, he looked at me in disbelief. You mean I can? But Mum told me. He stopped himself, quickly ran inside and returned with 2 beers. We cracked them open, clinked the bottles, and gazed out at the city skyline. For a moment, my thoughts flashed back to my childhood and my relationship with my own father. I hope we're not starting, like, getting him to become a drunkard or something, but anyway. My father was a hard-working man and always had our best interest in mind, or at least that's what he always said, but he had a temper and would lash out at my mother in fights I could hear from my bedroom. By the time I was Frank's age, we seldom spoke. Now that I was the president, I was facing more stress than my father ever had. I would have to work hard not to take my frustrations out on my family. Dad, can I ask you something? Go on, we're a family, you can ask anything. Doesn't mean I'm going to answer it, though. It's just, I feel like there's so much you've been hiding from me about your past and about what's going on right now. Like at dinner that night after the ball, you told me everything was under control, but it wasn't, was it? I know what happened in the 20s. We learned all about it in school. Now the protests and the riots. Is it going to be the same thing? Dad, is there going to be a civil war in Swordland? I hope not. He let out a sigh. But what was it like back then? Auntie Peta said the 2 of you went through a lot. I'm not a kid anymore, you can tell me. Before I could gather my thoughts, the familiar images started flashing before my eyes, images of soldiers advancing towards me and my friends, weapons drawn, of people I knew, friends and neighbours being dragged through streets and murdered in alleyways, the shock and grief of the faces of fathers, mothers and orphan children. Those were dark times. It seems like it. But you're nearly a grown man, let's talk about it. Frank leaned forward in his chair, his eyes wide. Tell him about the coup. Sure. I was barely older than you are now. Studying economics at the Lochhaven Business School, I was a freshman, excited and young. Just left the classroom to go back home as I heard the sounds of multiple vehicles approaching the campus gates. They got closer, I realised they were military camouflage trucks and tanks carrying hundreds of soldiers. The same soldiers that were supposed to protect Sword and citizens pointed their guns at us. They immediately took control of the facilities. One of my friends asked what was going on and was arrested immediately. More people got angry and gathered in protest. Tell him you ran for your life like a coward. Refrain from telling him about your quick escape. No, we'll tell him. Seeing the crowd gathering, I knew something was going to happen, something bad. I decided that it was impossible to go against our men and ran away from the scene. Ran away from my friends who were getting arrested and shot to save my own dear life like a coward. Well, that wasn't the choice when we were making the choice in the prologue. It was a case of, hey, there are people coming, should we run? Yeah, let's run. Anyway, I still feel my flight was justified. Anyone would do the same. No one could sleep that night because of gunshots and the sounds of boots. I can't forget the screams to this day. Frank leaned back in his chair, his shoulders slumped heavily. I mean, we don't need to tell him everything. Well, we could tell him more. This body language doesn't say I need to know more. It's okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked you about it. I know I don't understand how easy my life is sometimes. One more thing though, I know that you managed to not take any sides. Do you mind if I ask why? Yes, I do mind. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be part of the violence. They are 2 sides of the same coin. Maybe. Frank raised his eyebrows. His curiosity still not satisfied, but sensing my reluctance to go on, he simply nodded. Sorry for bombarding with questions. I know I complain sometimes, but my problems are nothing compared to what you went through. I'm here to listen to them no matter what they are, what problems. You're damn right. Your generation will never understand. Well, let's just say I'm here to listen, no matter what they are. Before Frank could say anything else, I heard the front door unlock. Deanna and Monica's voices and the sounds of rustling shopping bags filled the house. All right, I'll be upstairs until dinner. Frank went in and dashed upstairs. I took a long sip from a beer, looking at the city and the now setting sun. I hope that talking to Frank about my past had been the right decision. Part of me felt as if some sort of burden had been lifted, but I had the same nightmares again that night. Okay. So there is presidential visit to Narbel, which we can do. But let's read some reports first. USP report on reforms. Many members of the USP, led by Alvin Clavin, and the reformers wing of the party, clarified the demands from the government in the party Congress for the upcoming constitutional reform. Alvin Clavin stated that without ministry reforms, they won't be able to stand behind the new reform package. Morna industrial output concerns. The mayor of Morna has reported that their industrial output numbers this year are 12% lower than last year. They are requesting additional support to improve their industrial capacity, including machinery and personnel, to combat the downward trend. With the construction of several new factories in Morna, the mayor stated his belief that an economic upturn in the city is still possible if the government investments succeed. According to current projections, Morna is set to lose an additional 2% of industrial output next year. However, recent data from the municipality suggests that investment worth several billions of SR will stop the downward trend and increase the industrial output in a short amount of time. Okay. Am I going to get a decision about that at some point, which I won't remember? Probably. Prisoners riot in Anthill Rock Prison. Yesterday around 11 AM, a prison riot started in Ward C of the Anthill Rock Prison, which was eventually suppressed. Ward C, generally used for keeping political prisoners, and the riot started when a warden was killed by a British political prisoner. 4 guards and 21 prisoners died, 134 were injured. It's not just a small riot. Right, what news in the papers? Green Act, a misdirected effort. Green Act, heavily backed by the PFGAP, seems out of touch with the prevailing political climate in the country. Suggests a disconnect between policymakers and the ordinary sort of citizens whose immediate concerns are more likely to centre around the economy, job security and social services, while environmental conservation is important, it should not overshadow the more pressing needs. Attacker opened fire on protesters, 17 dead. Really? I haven't read these. Maybe I should have read those. A man opened fire during a protest, embezzled. Okay, so it's not one of those. Oh, but we've... Oh, it was news. Fine. Anyway. Graf said that she had spoken to the chief of Vessord and asked him to take strict action. The government will not tolerate any such incident and the perpetrators will not be spared. Red Youth rises. Warning bells. Red Youth seen rallying. Yeah, okay. I think we read that before. Green, a threat to growth. So we don't want to ruin growth, I suppose. Gasman turmoil. Recent financial distress. Disconcerting narrative and mismanagement. Gaston, formerly a beacon of economic prosperity, is now struggling under the weight of poor leadership, underscoring the urgent need for a managerial overhaul. So we need to turn it around. Don't know if we can change them, because they're the predecessor, right? Third president, yeah. Brazilian Oil and Gas expresses interest in Gasum. That's the EPA. They want to purchase some of it. How the development unfolds and impacts the dynamics of Swordland's energy industry. FC Gelsword, FC Anrika, Derby postponed due to protests. Imperative Green Bill awaits signature. They say it's really important. Eco-friendly practices. undemocratic elections of Swordland. Electoral threshold of 10%. This means any political parties that are under 10% of the vote can't even enter the assembly. It's the very reason why USP holds 52% of the seats in the assembly today. Indeed. And in the wider world, CSP's worker report under scrutiny. Workers' rights, released by a reformist faction, has stirred international discourse, attracting both considerable attention and critical skepticism. Overview of labour conditions. Critics argue the data could benefit from more nuanced and detailed analysis. Whatever. America broadens economic horizons. Appears to be charting an innovative path, by expressing a commitment to financially support nations outside the ambit of ATO and CSP. So that would be us at the moment. Anyway, that's enough news for now. There's a couple of things here. ATO pledges financial and military aid to Agnolia. Interesting. In an emphatic display of international solidarity, the Arcadian Treaty Organization has committed significant financial and military aid to Agnolia, located in the heart of eastern Mokopa, a region rife with geopolitical complexities. Agnolia stands at the crossroads of economic challenges and potential threats from Rumberg and Valksland. This aid package is designed to enhance Agnolia's economic stability and bolster its military capabilities, fortifying it against possible CSP advances and further Rumberg hostilities. As part of the ATO's larger goal to secure its capitalist allies against the spread of socialism, this assistance serves as a testament to the ATO's commitment to supporting its member nations in their time of need. Is Agnolia part of the ATO, though? I don't think it was. No. And Rizia. Oh, this has moved on a bit. And so is that. I guess that just means we'll be making a decision at some point. Read the report for Rizia. Rizia advocates for energy partnership. The Rizian Oil and Gas has extended a co-investment proposal for Swordland's ambitious Gassam energy venture. King Romus emphasized the bilateral benefits of such early cooperation. Its potential in bolstering the region's energy security. Also stressed that this collaborative venture could form the bedrock of a stronger economic alliance, further binding our nations. Let us visit Narbel. I was traveling to the snow-covered city of Narbel in the largest region for the Rural Development Forum organized by Minister of Health and Education. The mountain city of Narbel had gritty tones to it. It was mostly regarded as one of the poorer cities. In Swordland, its people were hardy and wary. Even after the discovery of natural resources in the area, years of neglect by central government was apparent on the buildings and the general infrastructure. Natural resources, namely gas and oil, were now under the control of Gassam, which elevated the corporation to a place of power. My task in this forum was mainly symbolic. Fake smiles and handshakes with oil barons meeting the local politicians, but most importantly of all, making sure that Narbel did not feel like it was forgotten by the government. Scenery so far, however, was a reflection of Narbel's neglect. Main roads to the city were not maintained well. Many bumps and empty discoloured spots in the asphalt. Navigating and swerving to avoid the inconveniences, our motorcade finally started nearing the city. As if my discomfort from the bumpy ride was apparent to him, Serge rolled down the partition window. We'll be arriving at the Hotel West in a few minutes, sir. Thank you for letting me know. Anytime, it is my duty. After Serge started to smile under his moustache. What's that smile for, or just how's life? I just wanted to say it has been great these last 2 months. As you know, my wife Susan has recently gave birth to our son, and now my daughter just started a very good high school in Hulsord. get ready because it's about to get a lot busier. That's great. New surge, I'm happy for you. I appreciate it, Sir Trudy. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to afford a good private school if she scored less in the entrance exams. But I shouldn't have made my insecurity get to me. Erica outsmarts me all the time. I'm very proud to have a daughter like her. Also happy that Deanna will grow to be like her mother someday. Does it mean she must have taken all the smarts after her mother? Do not value insecurity in my employees. Yeah, let's not go with that one. Let us say... Sure she will. After all, she's the daughter of a lion. My daughter looks up to the First Lady for inspiration, and it's not just limited to my daughter, sir. She's an inspiration for almost all women in the country. But at the same time, it must be hard for the First Lady as well. All this attention adjusting to the new high-profile life and a husband that has a great responsibility. You're right, it's hard for her. I mean, we don't want to be like mean to Serge. It's fine. We can talk about it. We're not talking about like just national secrets or anything, are we? Must be, sir. We sometimes forget the important people in life between all the responsibility and rush. You know, those we care for. Spare me your lectures. I agree. Continued after a moment of silence. How I told you, sir, we named my son Georg. Doctor said he is very healthy and thankfully so is my wife. So we can either ask why you wanted a child, which is boring. That's good. I hope the hospital has a good service. Tell me more about Susan. What kind of person is she? Very good. I must turn to my documents for a bit. I mean, I don't, but I don't have documents. I'm just making it up. That's good. I mean, that's a bit too, like, I'm trying to work out how good the hospitals are. It's fine. Let's just make friends with Serge, and then he'll tell me something in the future, probably. Has a good heart. Her family comes from Sana, so they're a little more traditional. Beautiful, of course, but what I really admire is her selflessness. Respectable trait is persevering. It can be inspiring at times to have a partner like that. Persevering. Respectable trait to have. It should be mutual. That's what matters most. Serge side. I've already started thinking about their university education, especially Erica. Want to send her to a good private school, but with the current state of the economy, it's going to be hard for us. Yeah, I'm not. He's only my driver. I'm not paying for him. We will fix the economy one way or another. If anyone can, that's you, Mr. President. Not giving my driver. Well, I've only got one wealth, then I'd have no wealth, right? If I had 10, maybe you would talk about it. And if he was, you know, a really good friend. Anyway, car hit a major pothole and a bump, which lifted us up in our seats for a second. We can focus on the road, or say that we need to invest in infrastructure. Let's focus on him first. I hope the car is fine too. Motorcade began approaching the hotel. Supposedly the best hotel in Marble, the large 25-story main building was undoubtedly the one of the taller and more expensive buildings in the city. It towered over the nearby slums and had been a target for protests when it was first built. Crowd gathered in front of the hotel with the welcoming committee at its center. As we approached the red carpeted entrance, I could see the mayor of Narbel and his top aides. Serge got out the car and opened the door. He bowed his head respectfully and gestured towards the entrance. And we will say thank you. Have a good day. As soon as I left the vehicle, the fresh air filled my lungs. Almost immediately, everyone present in the crowd flocked over to me with an excessive display of courtesy, smiles, and handshakes while I donned the mask of a politician. And Moscow is very used to. Right, but what are we actually here for? The briefing on the current welfare situation. We may do that next time. Let me just go read these reports then. Franz Richter, PFJP report on reforms. Leader of the PFJP recently outlined their demands for the reform package. He declared that without the implementation of term limits and limited decrees, it would be very difficult for him and his party to stand behind the reform package. What? No, just stop being an idiot. It's like, you can't have everything. I think we are in agreement with this sort of thing, but generally, just go with what the committee agreed. Young Sword suspected of terror attack. Approximately 4:46 on Monday, a terror attack occurred in the Vesord city centre during a rally by the left-wing CPS. The attacker, suspected to be working with the Young Swords or another organisation connected to them, opened fire with an automatic rifle on the protesting civilians. 17 people were killed, including the attacker who shot himself afterwards. Witnesses testified that a rifle was hidden behind a newsstand. Our local police are now wary of this tactic, and all newsstands will be inspected by the police before and during crowded rallies. Further investigations on Young Swords are underway. And we're going to read the news, but it's not going to save it, which is a bit annoying. Yeah, go on. We'll read it, and then next time we'll just remember that we've already read it. Education privatization proven successful. Well, The Economist would say this. One is the privatization efforts led by Prime Minister Alvarez. This is in Lesbia, yeah. Most schools in wealthier neighborhoods to be privatized lifted a significant burden off the state because the wealthy paid for a great education for their kids and were taxed reasonably in order to divert funds to state schools elsewhere. Second major factor was the allowance of minor curricular changes for private institutions that led to major improvements in the student participation, teacher happiness, and boosted the performance of institutions. Yeah, not always the story. Let's go look at Radical and see what they say. Someone needs to answer for his crimes? Yeah, probably. Shocking misogynist rally during a protest by the SL women. Counter-protesters showed up to disrupt the peaceful rally. Labour Union Rights March. Yeah. Will President Rain listen to the demands? Anyway. Just because I expect this briefing to be long, we're going to put a cut in here. I want to thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like. And subscribe. It will very much convince me to do more of these. Check out the other episodes if you haven't seen them. Check out the other things on the channel if it interests you. If not, anyway, I just want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.